Oh, that's a fucking sick. I'm keeping this on me. Fucking freezing. I've got 3 jackets on me. I'll undress halfway. I don't care. Ideally, if we can do 90 minutes, that'd be mint. It's only just after 7.
Yeah.
You're rolling now, so.
We're rolling.
No headphones needed either.
Oh, yeah, fucking cans. We do cans. I like cans.
Go on, let's do cans.
No, I do, because it locks you in.
No, I know.
Because
I agree.
Do you know what I mean?
Because when I heard Tom start saying it, I thought, that's definitely a DJ term for your
Did
headphones.
you say cans as well?
DJ, music, production, film, it's everything.
It's not just DJs.
George is like, don't be taking it away from the production film guys.
This is amateurs, fuck this, but it's all good. 1, 2, 1, 2.
1, 2.
Right, get your hair looking all right. Is your hair all right?
Yeah.
Yeah? By the way, welcome to season 2.
Yeah.
We're fucking in. Isn't it working?
Volume.
Can you turn his cans up and not mine up?
I'm talking. That's the one, that's the one. Yes, we're in.
Honestly, it was just a moment of realisation. I just remember going, what the fuck am I doing?
It's exactly the same thing. You got to go to that spiritual gym on a daily basis. You got to share with somebody. You got to speak to somebody.
I've never felt ashamed. I've never felt shame like that in my life.
Didn't ask for help. I'd not asked for help ever. But since I've asked for help, it's got me to where I'm at today. So I'm really grateful to be sat on this platform and be involved in this podcast.
This episode is powered by Tenzing, the all-natural energy drink made with plants, not a science lab. It's clean, sustainable energy made with none of that dodgy stuff you find in other energy drinks. Now let me tell you what happened when I got a delivery of their new flavour, Fiery Mango. Big crate arrives, I am buzzing, thinking I've got a load of cans to see me through the winter. I open it, 1 can. Turns out my wife nicked the rest. To be fair, I can't blame her. The Fiery Mango is banging. Juicy mango with a fiery kick of ginger and cayenne pepper. Basically sunshine in a can. And it's not just about the taste. 100% of your daily vitamin D, magnesium for vitamin D absorption, lion's mane for mood and focus, and 160 milligrams of caffeine to power you through the crash. So whether you're working, at the gym, or just surviving that 3 p.m. slump, Tenzing Fiery Mango has you covered. And listeners of this show get 30% off. Just head to TenzingNaturalEnergy.com and use the code BEAR30. That's BEAR30 for 30% off. Fire up your winter with Tenzing Fiery Mango. But seriously, hide your stash.
No, there's a couple of...
You need to have that, okay. I'm not going to have my phone.
Just keep it there. A couple of things that we'll talk about. A couple of things that I think might be relevant.
Yeah, all right.
But no notes for the convo. This is on the fly.
Well, do you know what? I was just speaking to Brian over the road about the comparison between season 1 and season 2. By the way, welcome to season 2.
Yeah.
We're fucking in. Isn't it working?
Volume.
You want it up?
Yeah.
Can you turn his cans up and not mine up?
I don't know which ones they are.
Go on.
Okay.
I'm talking. That's the one. That's the one.
Okay.
Yes, we're in.
Is
Thanks,
that better?
George. Perfect.
And he was saying, I'm interested to see the difference in dynamic from the first episode. He wasn't being derogatory or anything. He was like, I want to see the difference in the energy and the flow between the first episode and the first episode of season 2 because it was your first ever. You're right as well. I'm fucking boiling already.
Told you.
I've done one sentence and I'm fucking sweating my tits off. You never done a podcast before. Obviously, I'd done the previous project, but you never done anything like you did one episode with me, but not like your own project.
No.
So it was brand new to you. It was brand new to us because we'd never like sat down and did a project together. So I'm much more. I don't know about you, but I'm much more relaxed this time. We haven't got these notes, which, by the way, we found as time's gone on.
They're pointless.
We're fucking waste of time.
One question.
We sit on the train on the way in from ours. Mine. But it's basically yours. Eleanor will agree. I said before, I was like, I haven't sorted Pete's room. And she went, it's all right, I'm sorting it now. I'm doing his sheets. I went, yeah, but I'm sorry. She went, why are you sorry? I went, because it's my mate. She went, excuse me, it's our mate.
Yes, Eleanor.
Yeah, big up Eleanor.
Yeah.
But I can't remember where I was going with that. I'm going to take my jacket off and the fucking boiling. Go on.
Yeah, so so obviously jumping onto and again we're doing this episode because quite a few people in the community and messaging on the YouTube page and all the rest of it have asked us to do one in a bit more in depth with me and you. So I think it's going to be interesting for us because we did one where we kind of did a review of the guests that we'd had on so far, and then the first one that we did. So it's going to be interesting. Again, I've literally just landed, finished a Zoom call in Black Sheep and jumped straight in the studio now.
Well, let's preface it with that because we haven't spoke.
No.
Like I saw you for 5 minutes before. You were already on a call, which was an important call. I said hello. We fist pumped.
Yep.
And then I came over here, been sat with George waiting for you, and you just landed 7 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So we haven't actually caught up. This is completely fresh. I remember the point.
Go on.
Those notes we made on the way in on the train.
Yeah.
We would sit for half an hour, 40 minutes, looking at the guest, doing our research. I think it's Chris Williamson said that 20 minutes of research can add 20 IQ points. So I always found it very valuable. But the guests I'm getting on, or we're getting on, sorry, they're people that I'm interested in. I don't really have to, I don't feel like I have to put too much effort in because I want this conversation to be really natural. I think a little bit of backstory, like for example, if we got someone who we didn't really know very well, I think it's important to do a bit of research. But everyone we got on is like almost like friends of mine, maybe a bit more work for you because I've had all my DJ friends on. But we've wrote these notes and we've sat down and every single time we leave here and we go, how many of them questions did you ask? And we go, the first one. It's almost, it's the first one. It's usually like origin story or where they've come from or what their story is. And then after that, the conversation flows. And I love that about this project. I don't know about you, but I love the fact that it's just so organic. We come in with an intention of having this set amount of questions or the direction it's going to go. And it always goes off on a tangent. And I fucking love that.
Yeah. That's what I love because you can plan for a conversation all day long and you can have and we've proven that. We've had questions written down, which are thoughtful questions based on the guest that we've got on. But we only get into the first question because the conversation just takes a natural flow. And the people that we've had on, every single one of them have had their own perspective on their journey in life, you know, the hardships and all the takeaways that we've had from these guests, the little golden nuggets that they've dropped in there. You know, look at Shaq, you know, when we met, the conversation that we had just in Black Sheep before coming in here, and every guest that we've had on, we went, this is a podcast in itself.
Yeah.
So I think for both of us, it's been a journey and a learning for both and each of us. We've had our own personal journeys outside of the podcast, which we're going to brush over, I've got no doubt, in this episode now because we're catching up. So for me, you know, I'm just interested to see how this journey continues, but we've definitely learned something there. There's no point writing questions down.
No, I already feel much more relaxed without the notepad. Not even doing the questions and having them there is like good intent. Just not knowing there's a structure, it almost relaxes me right now. Even we're friends, Pete. We know each other really well. We've known each other for years.
Yeah.
But that first episode we did, we're on episode 21 now. Episode 1, I came in with a list of questions to ask you, my friend. And I know it was obviously with the best intentions, right? We wanted to make sure the first episode hit in the right place and we covered all these things we wanted to cover.
Yeah.
But we don't need to do that now. And it feels good. So I don't really have any direction. But one thing I would say to start this first episode. Firstly, thank you so much for everyone who's
big time
shown us any support, comment, shared, talked about the podcast on their socials with their friends. We've got an incredible amount of traction. I'll just fire off a few stats because I was going over a few stats today, looking over the YouTube and the Spotify. We've had over 60,000 views on YouTube with between shorts and our videos, which is incredible. We're only 20 episodes in, bro. 20 episodes in. That's not a lot. 20 episodes. We've had over 60,000 views across the board. Spotify, we've had over 6,400 downloads. We're covering loads of countries now. UK, Spain, Australia, Ireland. I think I can't remember how many there is, but there's a massive list of countries we're reaching already. And another thing, forget about the stats, because I said we weren't going to talk, like, focus on the numbers. It's just nice to know that we're reaching. The reason the numbers are important to me, and I don't know about you, but the reason the numbers are important to me is because what we're trying to do is create value for people on the other end of this conversation.
Yes.
Now, the numbers matter when you realize how many people this project is reaching. That's important. It's not important for our ego or our platforms. It's important for the project. As we said at the start, this isn't about us. This isn't about you and me. This is about the reason we're doing this, what our purpose is. Our purpose is to create value. And that value is letting people know it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to let your guard down. And we're doing that. We're doing that now. And it's incredible to see the feedback that we're getting. So firstly, before we start and we go into our journeys, what we've been going through, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who's shown us support. We've got a lot more exciting stuff coming up, whether that's guests, whether that's the community side of things, which we'll get onto, and way more. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Yeah, definitely, big time. And like I said, for the people that have been responding on comments and touching base and asking, we don't want to talk about ourselves on this platform because it's all about everybody else, and we've kind of took it away from us a little bit. And some of the people in the comments and community have said we want to drill down a little bit more with Jacky and Pete. So it's an opportunity for us to kind of talk at a bit more of a deeper level. But yeah, just going off the back of what you were saying, we've had that from day one. We're not about the stats. It's about the conversation and what we're doing here now. But going to your point, we've had to look at the stats because we're having a conversation with somebody where we needed to be aware of where them stats were at. And it's humbling and nice to know that it's reaching and going out there. And I've had people message me. I've had people that wanting one-on-one conversations, which I've been having on Zoom, and I know you've been doing the same. People that have been touching base with the Pastor book and some of the books that have been recommended. So it is going out there, and that's our intent. If someone catches a conversation or a book that's recommended or a statement that Waff said or a statement that Kelly Allen said or a statement that Chris O'Connell said, and it's touched them and it's helped impact their journey, that's why we're doing this. The stats will take care of themselves, as we've always said. But yeah, it's nice to see them stats and to be in a position where we've had to look at them to understand what we're going to be talking about with the party that we're going to be speaking to regards to them. But yeah, just a massive thank you to everybody. This journey's been interesting so far, but for me and you both of where we're at the minute as well.
Mental. Well, let's dive straight in. Before we do though, George, are you getting feedback?
Little bit.
It's like zzz. There, it's gone off now.
It's gone. Yeah, it's gone.
That? Yeah, it was like a zzz. Just a little I'll let you know if it comes back. We'll cut that out. Oh, maybe not. We'll just
keep
leave
it in. It's organic.
It's organic. All right, so let's get into it. I'll start. I mean, we've both been going through our own personal journeys over the last. When was the last time we recorded? Was it 7-8 weeks ago?
It was October. I was here.
The start must have been the start early.
Start of October because I missed my flight, didn't I? which we'll,
go on, right? Okay.
Which we'll talk about.
No. Let's just do that now because let's kick off with a fucking funny story before we get into the fucking nitty gritty. So you left me the next day. We went for Nando's with Rob, didn't we?
That's right.
No, it wasn't Rob.
Pash.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we went for Nando's.
Nando's with Rob Pack, big love.
And you left the next day, I believe. And I didn't hear from you for like a day and a half. I was like, oh, you must have got home. And then I got a voice note off you on the Saturday or whatever it was. And I'll let you continue the story. But it was I was sad for you, but also pissing myself laughing. Because I know how fucking angry and annoyed you would have been. Anyway, I'll let you tell the story. Go on.
well, the interesting this has got two sides to it, this story, because it was an interesting journey for me to go on. But anyway, listen, we did the shoot, we finished the episodes, and we caught up, and then boom, I'm gone. And it was because obviously we're in the winter now, so direct flights. The return flight, wasn't direct, so I had to go from London City to Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam. When I got to Amsterdam, I had a 4-hour layover, and I was there early. Yeah, I didn't have to go duty free, none of that shit. I wasn't interested in doing anything as always. I'll get to my gate. So I got to my gate. I was there before any staff, anybody. I was just, I was like Tom Hanks in Terminal. I was sat at the front, right, on my own, case, everything ready, and I was reading Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. And I was finishing that book.
The irony of this, by the way.
Yeah, this is the irony. So I'm reading the last 32 pages of that book, and what had happened is in Schiphol, apparently this happens all the time, I didn't know, but they adjusted all the gates at a certain point. I obviously didn't hear that. So the gate I was sat at to board for Ibiza changed. So as I went to board, they went, "Can group number 1 step up, please?" I stepped up, and I scanned my passport, and the girl went, "Sorry, this is for Palma." And I went, "Palma?" She went, "Yeah, Ibiza's like 5-6 gates down there." She went, "But it's already gone." And I looked at the time and I was like, no shit, it had gone 30 minutes. The flight had gone and I was sat there. So they changed. And because everybody...
You were sat there doing what, sorry?
Reading The Power of Now. So I was that much in the now that I missed my flight. So I had to stay in the airport terminal in one of them little... Like, is it in Japan or China where they have them little box rooms where it's just a bed in a box with a screen and a toilet? One of them hotels, I stayed in there and had to rebook a flight, and it cost 500 notes. So, yeah, it wasn't good.
I remember getting that voice note, and you know what? I can always tell if you're just like annoyed or like you're pissed off. There's a difference.
Yeah.
And I got that voice note, and it was a 2-part voice note, and I could just hear in your voice you were fucking fuming.
Mate, I went in on myself in the airport for about 25 minutes. I didn't even speak to Mish or nobody, but I had that inner critique kicked in just went, "Pete, you're useless. You're a dickhead.
Yeah.
Only you could read The Power of Now and miss the flight." And it's kind of funny, but at the time, if I'm being honest, it actually wasn't funny. It was bad.
I could tell.
I went in on myself really bad.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a few different facets, because compassion for yourself is something that I've struggled with at the moment. I'm struggling with it a lot. We'll talk about it in a bit more depth, but look, I've got that feedback again.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for the support so far on this project. It means the absolute world to us.
However, we've noticed that around 75% of you who listen and watch the show haven't yet hit the subscribe or like button.
So in order for this community to grow and allow us to build this project, we have a small request from you.
Please hit the subscribe or like button on the app that you're listening or watching this show. Your commitment... What were you laughing at? I did a really good job, didn't I? Right, do another one. Please hit the subscribe or like button on the app you're watching or listening this show. Listening this show.
Remember to smile.
I'm always smiling.
You weren't.
Was I not? Stop it. Kelly's fucking waiting for us outside, bro.
Composed. Right, let's do it.
Please hit the subscribe or like button on the app you're listening to or watching this fucking show. Right, come on, just one more. Please hit the subscribe or like button. Your commitment is our commitment.
Let's do this.
Fuck off. Come on, more.
Yeah, I'm not going to cheeseball it up, but I'll go, let's do this.
That'll do. Is it maybe you got it?
I did get it that time. He's standing on a cable or anything.
No.
Can you mess with your headphones? That shouldn't feed back into the podcast, should it? Into the master.
Even if it does, it's the easiest clean up in the world, so I wouldn't...
Is it?
No.
Clean it up.
You can't polish a turd, but you can cover it in glitter, sort of thing. Yeah. What is that though? You hear it? It's like a zzz.
You just wiggle the XLR into your microphone. It's on the front.
This one.
Yeah, I've done that.
No, that doesn't, mate. It's annoying. It's like a bee. Can you hear it?
I can hear it now, yeah.
What about now, Jacky? Can you hear it?
Oh,
No.
it's gone.
Right, so it's that feed.
That shouldn't be going into the recording, should it?
Let me try this now. So this one I'm on. Turn these cans up, George. That's not buzzing. It's that.
It's not buzzing.
It's not buzzing.
Oh well, that's
Although
fucking shit. Put it back in. I want it to be buzzing.
Left one working.
Oh, well, try another one.
Try a different one. There should be another one there.
Talk about organic.
There we go. Yeah, it's that one. Sneaky.
Right.
And then turn these. Yeah, bang on.
And then just check.
Check. 1, 2. We're good.
Check 1, 2. We may as well get George a chair here. He can just fucking be involved. Do you want to just jump in? Yeah, compassion for yourself. And I mentioned it to you briefly. I can't remember when it was, but and let's just jump straight into it. That's a perfect example of you beating yourself up over something which you shouldn't really need to beat yourself up about. You know?
Mate, I've missed flights before. Yeah, that's not the first flight I've missed.
Exactly.
And it won't be the last.
No.
But for some reason in particular, this one, when it was a deep one.
Why?
And it was the inconvenience of being stuck in the airport and then having to rebook another flight, 500 sheets and all that. But it was that darker Pete who was there ready to go, you're useless, you're a dickhead. That was the voice in my head going, only you, and this literally what the voice said like to myself was, only you could sit reading Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, be the first guy at the gate and miss your flight. That's literally what I was saying to myself. I didn't make a call to miss. For 20 minutes I was sat there and I was rebooking a new flight. And I had to have a walk in the terminal. Do you know what I mean? And then afterwards I'm thinking, what's all that about? So I shared about it when I got back to Ibiza and I spoke to some people about it in the circles that I'm involved in. But for 2 days I had bad anxiety for 2 days off missing a flight. That's not me. But that's a part of me that was obviously there. This self-esteem, this you're not good enough character was present. So it was a learning. And it's all good now, but at the time it was horrible for a couple of days. I couldn't shake it off. Well, I just had to sit in it.
Let's talk about sitting in it. Because before that, let's rewind a little bit. A couple of days before we were on our way into town and you were talking about that in a lot of detail, if you remember. We said we're going to go into every bit of detail in this conversation. We haven't seen each other in 7-8 weeks. We've spoke briefly, but I've had loads of shit going on. You have. We said let's keep it for the podcast. So let's go in.
Yeah.
Before the last episodes of the podcast of season 1, I remember being on the train with you, and you were telling me that you were going through some shit, and you were having to sit in the mud and investigate. And I feel like that was almost connected because it was only a couple of days after you had the episode at the airport. So you were obviously in the same mindset. Sorry.
Yeah.
Did you get to the bottom of that? Did you investigate more? Like what was the bottom of the investigation?
Yeah.
Or are you still kind of going through that now? No,
I think on this journey that I've been on, particularly in recovery, because I'm in recovery.
By the way, I'd like to just say, I didn't congratulate you, but a few days ago, my friend Pete has just received his 18-month.
Yeah. 18 months.
18 months, which is incredible. So
so 3 years in total. Yeah, 18 months. But just in recovery, what is recovery? To find something that was lost. Yeah. So when you look at it, I've got to remember and remind myself that I'm on this kind of journey of learning about myself. Everything I've done previously has been business related, working in this organization, climbing the promotional ladder in this business, developing myself and my skill set in the call center industry and businesses I've been involved in, marketing, I've been involved in all these different businesses. Everything's always been about all these things. In the last 3 years, I've been working on myself. I've never done that before. So I've had to remind myself during this process that if I've gone nearly 3.5, 4 decades of not working properly on myself, then that's going to take time. And it's not a game of completion. I've come to understand this. It's a game of continuing to observe and assess and not get too much grip on what's going on. Just talk about it with somebody, another human being, so like we're doing now. And then just have a look at yourself and understand what is it. And sometimes these things that you go through, what I've learned with this experience anyway, it wasn't about understanding why that was there. It was understanding what triggered these feelings of anxiety, which they contributed to it. But it was already kind of simmering because I was talking to you about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really want to talk about myself on the podcast, and this low self-esteem thing, that comes from many years ago, and it's still something to work on. So I just sat in it for a couple of days and shared about it, and I just thought, okay, let's just sit with it. This would have been a time before where I would have gone out and just drank alcohol and I would have used. Instead, just sit in it and just see. And after the second day, third day, it had gone. It had subsided. And what I actually did is prayed, believe it or not.
Did you?
Yeah, I actually prayed. I actually just said, like, whatever this is, please, just give me a break. because it was there for from the airport. It was there simmering beforehand, and everything here has been great. You know, we're doing the podcast, we're speaking to interesting guests. You know, like I said, at my outside life, I've got family, a missus. You know, I live well. I've got a roof over my head. I've got food on the table. I've got all these things that externally, but it's okay. Sometimes you can have all of that. These inner kind of waves of anxiety, whatever it is, comes from somewhere. You know, maybe, you have to investigate a little bit more. But for me, I just sat in it for a couple of days. I prayed and then it subsided. And now the pendulum swing isn't as much. It can still go this way, but before it was going 100 to 0. Now it's doing like a 70-30, which is good in the last few weeks.
I remember you saying you'd wake up one day, or just say a day, you'd wake up a day and you'd go, I feel like the whole world's on me.
Yeah.
But the day before, you might wake up and you'd be fucking fine. And you go from, like you say, from one extreme to the other, and you have no explanation. Nothing drastic's happened. No one's died. You know, you haven't crashed your car. Nothing's happened. You haven't fell out with your missus. Nothing's happened. It's just this overwhelming feeling of a weight, of like something on your shoulders, which you can't describe. I remember you explaining that to me on the train that day, and I was happy for you to, like, you know, we talk about this stuff between us quite often, but it wasn't till about 2 weeks after where I felt the same. Like, I've had moments where I've been down, especially we'll rewind and we'll go back, because one of the things that we do need to do today, which people have asked for, you mentioned it briefly before, about our journeys from where we were and what we had to go through to get to where we are now, and we'll do that. I think we'll maybe spend 30 minutes on each journey. But I hadn't I hadn't related to you in that way until about 2 weeks after. But there was something external going on. It was to do with work. It was to do with the business. And we haven't spoke about this, but I was going through a really turbulent time. There was shit hitting the fan left, right and centre. I felt like we were waking up, and like you were waking up going, there is no way yesterday can be worse than today, can be worse than yesterday. And every day you woke up and it was fucking worse than yesterday, and you just like, give us a fucking break. So it was external, but I feel like some days I woke up before I even looked at my phone or done my meditation, I've been at the gym, I'd just wake up and there was this overwhelming sense. There was this overwhelming feeling of just like, I don't want to get out of bed. I actually just didn't want to. In fact, some mornings I'd wake up and I wish I was back asleep. My alarm would go off. I know I need to be at the gym in 45 minutes, but I'm like, if I just tell Eleanor I'm not feeling too well, or I'm a bit tired, if I can go back to sleep, I don't have to think about this. And I hadn't even anything to think about. Maybe the day before was already sorted, but it, like, this is what I relate. This is how I relate to you. I've never felt that heaviness before like that.
It's like a cloud, isn't it? It's like a cloud that's there, dark, lingering. And you just, like you said, you don't want to get out of bed. In fact, even when you're up, you want to go to bed. Like, you're looking forward to getting back in bed because you just don't want to be out in the world, so to speak. So definitely, you know.
There was moments where and I don't mind saying, there's moments where I thought, if I just fuck this off, I'll go to the pub, I'll have a few drinks, and I'll be able to go to sleep. Right? Those are the thoughts I'm having. I'm like, if I just go and have a few drinks, I'll feel a little bit sleepy, and I'll be able to go to sleep. I don't have to think about. I'm thinking about work. I'm thinking about the ramifications of that on my financial life personally, and then the relationship I'm going to have with Eleanor if this doesn't go right, and then the mortgage is going to go up in 3 months. By the way, it's fucking got the mortgage back through. It's 590 quid up in February. All these things,
pressure,
and it's pure overwhelm. And you know what? It's overwhelm is a really important thing in this, because I always tell myself, try and break it down in chunks, and it's the best way to deal with issues. Break it down. But all I was doing is waking up and I was thinking about everything in one go. I was thinking about the mortgage, the business, my marriage, the dog, fucking, oh my God, I'm putting weight on. All these fucking things, but in one go. And it's just this overwhelm. But the thing about this cloud that I'm trying to come back to is I wasn't even thinking about anything. I was just waking up and it was just there. I can't explain it. I don't know why. I haven't even looked at, as I said, I haven't looked at my phone, haven't spoke to anyone at work. I haven't even said good morning to Eleanor. Luna's licking me fucking face because I've got this gorgeous little sausage dog in bed. Right? I couldn't be happier. I'm warm. I've got a fucking Dachshund licking me ear. I'm like, I'm kind of in heaven in a way. And I'm just like, oh. And it's so hard to explain. And I don't know if anyone else is feeling this out there or if you've felt this, but it's okay to feel that way. I'm not saying that you need to be that way forever, but what I'm saying is I still can't explain that feeling. I know I've got shit going on at work, but everyone's got problems.
Yeah.
I don't think it was related to work. I think regardless whether I had, you hear about these people who've got all the money in the world. They haven't got to worry about finances. They haven't got to worry about getting up to go to work to pay their bills, or none of those issues are there, but they still get up and they have this cloud.
Yep.
I can't remember the stat, but there's a stat about billionaires and the amount of billionaires that are depressed.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter about money or material things or external gratification. Those feelings just come from what we talked about on this podcast so much: connection and being disconnected from other people, other humans. And I feel like when I'm in those, personally, when I'm in those moments of struggle, sometimes it's quite, this is why I know it's not the struggle, because sometimes I thrive off struggle. Sometimes I'll get up and I'll be like, right, it's fucking time to smash this.
Yeah.
I'm on the phone to Pi in the morning, right? Let's get back on the horse. Let's do this, let's do that. It's nothing to do with the pressure. Those feelings of like doubt and of being really down, they can come out of nowhere. And if anyone's listening to this who feels the same, you've got someone who has essentially built up a multi-million-pound business, exited, bought a place in Ibiza, got to the top of a mountain and still has them problems.
Yeah.
Right?
They're waiting.
They're just there. It doesn't matter what you've got, how much money you have, if you've got the most beautiful wife or the most amazing partner, or you've got the nicest car on the drive. It doesn't fucking matter about anything external. Those feelings can be there regardless. And that is okay. The most important thing for me now is knowing that it's okay and to talk about it. Now, normally, I would try and talk to Eleanor about this, and I still do talk to Eleanor about these things. But talking about it on a platform like this, I think, for me, this is what this project's about. We're talking about these. We haven't spoke about this.
Nah. Obviously, we spoke on WhatsApp. You messaged me.
Briefly.
I was at, where was I? I was at Rocker House, and I sent you a picture because that's where me, you, and Eleanor went.
Oh.
And you just messaged me. You went, I love you sending me a picture of Rockamore when shit's going down. And I was like, what's happening, bro? And as soon as you replied, it would just whoop. It was just not good, mate. Servers have not been paid. And I just knew, because I've been there, as you know. We've had our times in the past. Servers are down. Fines are coming through the door.
Yeah.
$500,000, $750,000. You don't know if your business is going to be open tomorrow. Yeah. It's tough. So I didn't message you back. I just voice noted you. And I said, look, if there's anything I can do to help, let me know, but I'm going to leave you to it. And I spoke to Pi on the back burner, which he probably told you about.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
And he told me some of the ideas you were coming up with, and I went, good, really good. And it's just good to see that you're coming out the other side of it now. But at the time, I know what that can entail. So that was going to be my first question to you, is how are you doing? How are you feeling now? Because I know it's tough. So you're kind of obviously touching over it there.
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm better. I'd probably say last week in particular was probably the hardest week that I've had in business.
Yeah.
Prior to these businesses, I've always, I've been in the music industry, and that's a completely different kettle of fish. You are your business. It's you. And I was abusing myself the whole time, whether it was with drink or drugs or whatever, With this, it's not me. I've got a team. I've got me, Pi, we've got the whole C-suite team. Then we've got like teams underneath us, and we've got like all the staff underneath that. We've got a massive team to deal with. And that's one of 3 projects I've got, as well as this. So the overwhelm can be a lot. But last week, we were at a point where we were discussing letting another business essentially it was an acquisition deal where we would have to let that business take our customers. We basically dissolve whatever the deal is that, and we just take a cut of whatever sales they get because we had no other option. We've been working on this project for 3 years, and I've put everything. I've invested.
Sleepless nights, early mornings, falling out,
arguments.
Yeah,
even like the worst thing is you take it out on the people closest to you, and Eleanor is the one that's got the brunt of it. And I'll say now on air, I'll say live that she deserves a fucking medal for putting up with me. Now, there's other people in the business like Pi who've had to do a lot. Let's say do a lot more. He's had to take a lot more of the weight of this because Pi's the CEO of the business. We made him the CEO for a reason. He fucking deserves that position. But that also comes, the number one spot comes with a lot of weight, and it comes with a lot of responsibility. So we're trying to fight the fires with him. But he's been the one at the top of this pyramid, right? Regardless, the pressure, knowing that your business you've been building for 3 years can dissolve overnight is, especially when you know that we were, I'll not go into details, but we just celebrated a really solid mid-tier 5-figure month. So, week.
Yeah.
So we just done a very decent 5-figure week, which we hadn't done that level before. It was like a record, right? And we were then starting to look at, right, what can we then start to take potentially in dividends next year? And I might be able to afford this, and I might be able to like go on that holiday. And we've been working for 3 years essentially not paying ourselves, because that's what you got to do when you build a business, right? It's just fucking delayed gratification times 100. You know what it's like. You've been there. You've been there, got the t-shirt. I'm not teaching you to suck eggs, but we were at that point where we were like getting excited, and the week after this all the shit hits the fan. So sorry, back to your question. How am I doing now? I'm okay, but I would say I've been through the ringer, and I've also brought Eleanor through the ringer.
Yeah, of course.
I've had nights in the fucking spare room. I've not slept. I've been getting up at 3 a.m, going on the computer. I've been worrying about people in the team. What are they going to do?
Yeah.
What if we go under? What's going to happen to that person? I'm worried about that. So much going on. It's the most difficult thing to explain to someone who hasn't been in that position. But again, short answer to your question, I'm okay. That's what I say. I'm okay. I wouldn't say I'm good. I wouldn't say I'm bad. I'd say I'm okay.
Yeah, because it's a turbulent and traumatic. It is. Listen, the word gets used quite a lot, but it's traumatic because everything that you've put and it's not just you. It's your co-workers, your colleagues, and it's your customers.
Yeah.
It's everything that you've built and invested and sacrificed is potentially going down the tube because of not really your actions. Obviously it's the business and you manage the business, but you're relying on another entity and another party, and they drop the bat. But for them, the consequence is not as heavy as for you guys. And then all of a sudden, all them, the numbers that are going well, the business, everything that you've been investing to get it to a real good level, and you're projecting like where you're going to be at, and all of a sudden you're saying, we can now do X, Y, and Z in this 3-year build-up. So then all of a sudden somebody going, hang on a second, you're going to have to probably sell it.
In a week.
Yeah, that's it's like from there.
And then
it's like your lottery tickets come in, you've got the 6 numbers, and then all of a sudden it's like, actually, no, sorry, you don't qualify.
Yeah. And the week before that, I remember telling you, my mortgage had gone up 592 quid.
Yeah.
So I was trying to look at options to find that difference. That was the difference. And not only was that not the difference when this all shit kicked off, but not only that, I'm now going to be down because the business is going to be like dissolved. So anyway, enough about that. I'm good, man. I'm much better. If you'd asked me this a week ago, I probably wouldn't even be sat here. I would have probably cancelled this podcast.
Well, the reason I'm asking you is because when I was speaking to you about it, I can relate to it because I've been in similar situations, completely different.
Weirdly similar.
Yeah, similar. But you messaged me back after I voice noted you because I rang you and you was walking in the park, and you voice noted me back real quick, and I said, look, no, I'm just messaging you, seeing how you are, bro, because I know it's been tough and I've kept my distance. And again, just to remind you, you was going to me, I'm sorry if I've been distant.
Yeah, but I was being distant.
I understand, but you didn't have to say sorry. Like I felt bad that you was feeling like you needed to say sorry. So first first thing is, now that we're here in person and I get the opportunity to speak to you in person, mate, everything that we're doing for the podcast and everything that we're doing it's a passion project and we love it. And I have complete faith now the podcast will take care of itself. Yeah. Obviously, it needs us to stay in the Uber, but you're straight away, you're like, let's jump on a call tomorrow, let's do this. Listen, slow down a bit with yourself, man.
I was concerned because I know you've got a lot going on.
I have, but listen, when you've been through that, first of all, just a bit of feedback for you. Like I said to you on the voice note, when I voice noted back, listen, unless it's absolutely critical, we are not jumping on a call because you need to give yourself a bit of space.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Because I know what will have been going up on. And I know it'll still go on this week, Jacky, and I know you'll still be going back to that. If you think about that week now, if I say to you, right, think of that week, how do you feel? You feel exactly the same just thinking about it. Yeah. So you're going to reflect, because you've got to reflect and you've got to think, right, what contingencies can we put in place now as a business to make sure that A, that doesn't happen again, or we can prevent it, and B, what other safeguard measures have we got in place? Yeah. So it's that whole paradoxical thing of you've had to go through this week for another reason for you guys and for your business, because now you're going to be like, right, we need to have X, Y, and Z lined up so that A, doesn't happen again, but even B, if in what some parallel universe it did, what contingency have we got? Well, so you've got to revisit it, and I know you've got to go through it.
This is it's not ironic because you've done this and got the t-shirt, but we've gone from having, I'm not going to go into the details, but we needed this one provider to keep us live, okay? And we've gone from that. By the way, we were skitzing about this every fucking week, and Pi getting a call and go, we are hanging by a thread because if this goes down, the whole business goes down. It all relies on this one provider. Now we're creating an aggregator. So if one of them goes down, we've got another two on the back burner. So just exactly what you're saying. We will not put ourselves in that position. So yes, it's great, but the issue we've had is the industry we work in is ruthless, and trust is everything. And if you lose the trust of your users or clients or whatever you want to call them, you're fucked. It's ruthless. Anyway, I think as of today, we're out the other end of it. Literally today. We're talking 2 weeks ago we went down. 2 weeks ago today. It was like 11 o'clock on Wednesday 2 weeks ago. So I think as it stands, before I came in the podcast, I could fucking come out of here and I'll get a message of Pi going, oh, it's fucked. But as of now, as far as I know, we're good. But yeah, anyway, should we jump into what we've been asked to talk about, which is our personal journeys from where we went to how we got to where we are now? Because we've been asked for this, haven't we?
Yeah, we've been asked for it.
Not the recent stuff, but because we touched on it briefly when we started, but we didn't really go into the nitty-gritty. We've got probably about just under an hour.
Go on.
So before we start, actually, quick toilet break. I need a wee. Is that all right? Do you mind? 2 seconds.
Go for it.
Go for a quick wee.
I'll wait,
we'll cut this bit out.
Yeah, we'll cut this bit out.
We'll definitely cut it out.
I've got something for you as well, anyway.
Have you?
Yeah, that I've read that we can talk about.
Back in. Sorry, man, you can't concentrate when you.
No, I know what you mean, and Tenzing pushes it out, but
I've drank almost all of that as well.
But
like one.
Yeah, going back to what you were saying, so I'm glad to hear you talk about it, and I'm glad to see. And to be fair, I'm going to say that when I spoke to Pi, he and Pi, for everybody who doesn't know, he used to work a previous company of ours, HYC. Somebody said, what's HYC? When this in the Pash episode, that's our business that we used to run in Manchester. And Pi Scott O'Sullivan. When I spoke to him real quick on that, he seemed very, very composed. And to be fair, that shows his experience, because Pie's been in a few situations over recent years. And to be fair to him, CEO of that company, when I spoke to him, he seemed very composed. He seemed very, not sure, but he seemed he had faith in a result, which is what you need at that level. So he didn't seem like he was like, didn't know what was going on or didn't know how to handle it. He seemed very, very composed. I seemed more panicked than him. He reassured me on the phone. So really, really good stuff to hear that. And I'm glad that you guys are making progress. And for you, Jacky, I know that you're very much, you want to look at the minor details. You're a bit of a perfectionist and you strive to do them things, and it's good, but sometimes just go a little bit easy on yourself as well. We didn't have to jump on a call, and that's why I said to you, listen, we're not jumping on a call. You need to give your brain a little bit of a rest for a couple of days, because I know what you'll have been going through. So it's good to hear that you're coming out the other side, but I just know, and just talk about it. If you want to jump on a call with me and you want to grab my brain for 5-10 minutes or whatever, if something comes up, then do it. Do you know what I mean? Because stuff like this, it is tough. It's tough when people in business really let you down, and they let you down to a point where they're going to cost you your business. It's disappointing. It's heartbreaking.
It's not just the business, right? It's everything.
Everything,
because
exactly.
When you work for yourself, and again, I'm not teaching anyone out there to suck eggs who's got a business and knows what this pressure is like. But when you have a business, everything rides on that. You can't just call in sick. You can't just get a payday, right? Everything you do, whether it's your mortgage or your food on the table or your car payment or your missus manicure, whatever, right? Whatever it is, that everything's funded by your business now. Especially when you've invested all your time and money in that for 3 years, and you could see that essentially dissolve within a week. It just shows how fragile these projects are. Even doesn't matter how much effort you've put in, like that, it can be gone. And when you have the doubt of being able to pay your way and pay your bills, the very basics, it just puts everything into perspective. And it's big anyway. I'm not going to go back onto that. It's been tough, but we're on the other side of it now, so it feels much calmer.
Good.
Definitely some work to do still. What I am interested in though is, you've mentioned this to me before. What I'm interested in is why can't we take our own advice? You've just told me there to be nicer to myself in these moments, and I'd say the same to you. I'd say don't beat yourself up.
Yeah.
Now I've been going through some situations with myself, and I've had some therapy recently around this, around compassion and about being kinder to myself in certain situations. But actually, when I actually take a step back, it's actually in most situations, my self-talk is fucking horrendous. But we'll sit here in these conversations and we'll tell each other, go easy on yourself. Be nicer to yourself.
Yeah, do you know why that is? Because you're very, me and you are very similar in a lot of ways, and people always tell us that. Even people that watch the show now, they say the energy, they can see it relatable. But me and you, from day one, there was always something relatable there, and you're very similar to me. You're very empathetic.
Yes.
You're very compassionate with others.
Yeah, others.
But you're not with yourself.
No.
And that's me as well, exactly the same. And you mentioned it on one of the episodes, and you said, I forget which guest it was on, and you went, the Cherokee thing, and we carried on the conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read it now so that people can hear what it is, because you've mentioned it, and this is a reminder of what we're talking about.
Go on.
So one evening, an old Cherokee was sat around the fire with his grandson, and his grandson asked, "Grandfather, are all humans good naturally?" The grandfather replies, "My son, there is a battle ongoing between two wolves inside us all. It is a terrible fight, and it is between two wolves. One is evil. He is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego." He continued, "The other is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. The same fight is going on inside of you and inside every other person too." The grandson thought about it for a minute, and then he asked his grandfather, "But which wolf wins the battle?" The old Cherokee simply replied, "The one you feed the most."
Fuck. So good.
So it's the yin and yang. It's the one, like you were saying, is we're not feeding ourselves. And this is the whole thing I was telling you about before when I've been going through this journey of self-development. I've not really been doing a lot of external earning. Everything I've been earning in recent years now has all been internal. It's the stuff that you can't see. And it's the stuff that I've never really invested in properly before. And it's because I've not been used to feeding the good wolf with myself. I'm very good at feeding everybody else's good wolf, but not my own.
The irony in that.
I've been too busy.
Paradox.
So again.
Everything's a paradox. Well, let's do that. Let's go back a little bit. So let me, off the back of that, I think that battle was ongoing. I mean, it's ongoing in all of us in some way, in different levels. But I don't know how far people want us to go back. Where do you think I should start?
Well, if I'm when I'm going to do me, I'm just going to start from loosely where I was born, where I'm from.
Are you going to go right to the start?
Yeah,
like we're guests.
Yeah, kind of like where we've grown up, and then kind of go into a little bit more detail as I'm getting older into the working world and that, and then just dress it from there.
Interesting. All right, okay. Should I start?
Go for it.
All right. So I was born in the northeast, a little place called Bishop Auckland, and mum and dad from humble beginnings. I don't know my dad, but my mum was definitely brought up in a council estate in a little place called Roddymoor, where my grandma basically lived right up until she died. I fucking love going to my grandma's. It was amazing. But northeast, born and bred, and grew up until I was about maybe five or six, maybe six. And then my dad worked. He was a mechanic. He worked his way up through the ranks and got a job. I think it was working for Caterpillar or Komatsu. It was one of these mining companies. Moved to Africa. So I moved to Africa when I was about 5 or 6. We went to Ghana. There was a lot of civil unrest in Ghana at the time. I don't know what was going on, but I mean, Africa's a bit mental in that regard still. I mean, there's so much civil unrest. But Ghana was particularly crazy at the time. So I think we were there for about 12 months. And the company that he was working for said, you can't stay here, you got to fucking go. Like, you got to go somewhere else. So my dad was like, okay, what other opportunities is there? So we moved to Tanzania, to Dar es Salaam, East Africa. And I still say to this day that I feel so grateful to have that opportunity to live in somewhere like that, a third world country at such a young age. And this is the story I always tell people when I meet them, and even this is the story I used to tell people when I was sat in fucking in a kitchen in an afters, and I'd be like, right, okay, you know what, really, I meant it though. Do you know what I really appreciate about the fact that I lived abroad when I was younger is that I lived in a third world country. We did go to a private school, so I was going to this school, the International School of Tanganyika, which is the African word for Tanzania, and so we had proper uniform. We had like this amazing school. We had like fucking 5 swimming pools. It was a proper nice school, right? But in a third world country, you drive from your house, which by the way was on a compound with fucking guards with guns, to school, and you'd come to the traffic lights, and you'd be sat in the car, and you'd look out the window, and there'd be a family, several families on the road begging for money, and they'd be happy. Some of the kids would be deformed because I think what a lot of the parents used to do to make people feel sorry for them, so they'd like break their arm or they'd do something to the kids, so people would feel sorry for them and they'd give them more money, right? It was fucked. But you look out and you'd see these kids and they're smiling. They've got nothing and they're happy. And I'd compare that to when I moved back to the UK when I was about 11. It was like year 6. It was like 11 or 12. And then you'd go to what was the Metro Centre, which is the closest shopping centre to me in Gateshead in Newcastle. And you'd see a kid crying because the mum wouldn't buy them the next Nintendo 64 game, right? And at the age of 11, I knew that. I was aware. I had the awareness of, that's fucked. I've just been in a country where this kid couldn't even fucking eat because he had no money. And I'm here with this fucking 12-year-old who's crying because his mum won't buy him fucking Mario 64. Do you know what I mean? So it is funny, but when I actually look back, I'm like, kids where I'm from in the northeast, growing up in a council estate, which is where I grew up. especially for the first few years, they don't have that experience. They could never look and compare lifestyles. You know, all they've seen is where they're from, and that's all they got, right? So, anyway, Tanzania, I was there for 3 or 4 years. Had the best time, loved it, made some great friends. There's people from all over the world. There was a guy from I call him a guy. He was fucking like 8. Oh yeah, this fucking guy. A guy called Matt. He's from the UK. Then I had friends from South Africa, from Australia. A guy called Angus. He was my best friend. I have friends from all over the world. Fucking Costa. This guy from Greece. I had friends from all over the world when I was like 8. It was amazing. Anyway, my dad's contract finished up there when I was about 11. We moved back to the UK, fucking shocked at the system, because I'd been in Africa for 4 or 5 years. I was like, it didn't feel right. I remember coming back and being in primary school and being like, I don't feel right here. This doesn't feel like home. It felt so foreign to me, as ironic as that is. I'm back home and I feel like I'm in a foreign country. I mean, if you can imagine it, from the age of 6 to 11, that's half your life that you've been abroad. Yeah. Right? In context, you don't even remember the first 2 or 3 years. Yeah. Anyway, so went through school, did primary school, secondary school, till I was about 12. Mum and dad broke up, so they got divorced. Loads of shit with my mum. I was just, those situations where you just, you're a kid in this fucking cyclone of fucking arguments and shit. I said, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go with my dad. And my dad was at the time working in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh. And she went, all right, fuck off then. Go and live with your dad. I was like, all right, I fucking will. So I went to live with my dad. It was a disaster. It was when the war was happening. Right. I was there for 6 months. Wow. I was living on a compound. It was like a proper compound. Like you have to, it takes 20 minutes to get in. They're like scanning your car for fucking bombs and shit.
You've told me this and I always forget. Go on, keep going. Yeah,
well,
forget.
If you remember the film The Kingdom with Denzel Washington, where there's people go on the compound and they blow up a compound. Yeah. Well, one of the people that I was at school with, at the school in Riyadh, they were on that compound and they got hurt it's basically, that film is a true story, right? So basically at that point, the company that my dad was working for said, you can stay to work, but we're not going to pay for the kids to go to school. Fucking expensive school. It's like 30 grand a year. You got to send them home or you got to pay for yourself. So my dad was like, all right, you got to go home. So I went back to the UK, lost my place because I was at secondary school between the age of 12 to 13, 14. I couldn't get back into the secondary school that I was in before because someone took me space. So I had to go to the rival one. So there was 2 like secondary schools in the area. I had to go to the fucking rival, which actually was really cool because I ended up, fitting in really well there. I started playing basketball with the guys. We ended up, fast forward, I would play basketball all the way through school. We won the national championship. It was sick. Left school, went to college, failed all my A levels. Fuck that. And I was like, this is bullshit. Did biology and psychology. This is shit. I was just getting jobs here and there, working at a paintball site. I was fucking delivering. I was just doing anything, right? Yeah. And then I left college, failed everything, got a D, E, and a U. I went to work for Barclays Bank. Oof. Yeah. So I went straight into like cashier job, like fucking, I'm not doing too much here, right? I'm not going to try and waffle on about me fucking 18 years old, fucking shitting for too long. So basically, I worked for Barclays as a cashier for 6 months. I got promoted to do something else. I went to commercial bank, so I was working for business banking. This is over a 3-year period. And I was 21, right? I remember sitting in fucking work and I was like, this is bullshit. Like, I don't want to be here. I'm in an office. I don't like what I'm doing. Every morning I get up and I'm unhappy, right? I remember sitting there going, I need to change something. I need to do something different. So I love music. I've been DJing for 2 years. My uncle was a DJ and I kind of got in through him and I'd been practicing. I got a couple of gigs, started my own party. This is like over 2 years. And after 2 years of that, I'd been working still at this banking job at Barclays, and I just said, right, I've had enough. I need to do something different. I want to do music. So I went to an open day at Newcastle College, and because I hadn't had any A levels in music, I had to do an access to higher education course, which 1, you have to pay for yourself, and 2, you can't get any student loans. So when you go to uni, you can get fucking $3,000 a semester. Yeah. You can get like all these different things which can help you fund your education. But I couldn't do that. So I went to this open day, loved it. I was like, I've got to do 9 months basically here before I can go to uni. So I called my dad, and I remember I was in the car park. I was in this fucking Vauxhall Astra that I had. I remember this blue Astra, this fucking shit bank car. And I was like, I've got no money. I was like, I'm going to call my dad. I'm going to ask him if he'll help us. So I called my dad. I told him what I was going to do. He was like, wait there. So you've just worked your way up to work in business banking. I'd got a really good wage. I wasn't like 23 grand. I was 21.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot of money like 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
For 15 years ago. He said, you worked your way up. You've got a really good career in Barclays, and you're going to leave your job to go and do music. And he went, no. I went, Dad, I'm asking for 1,500 quid. It was 1,500 quid. It wasn't a lot, 1,500 quid to do the course. And I said, I'll pay you back, but I need your help. And he's like, no. And I went, all right, fuck off. And I put the phone down. I didn't speak to my dad for 3 years, 2 or 3 years. I went and got 3 jobs. So I was still working at the paintball site, which was miles away. I was selling car insurance for Tesco's on the phones. I was working in a gay club in Newcastle, DJing on a Monday night. I was doing everything I could.
I never knew about that.
Yeah.
I don't recall you ever saying that. I always think of Apple. So you was working
Apple was
DJing
fucking ages away.
Oh, is it?
Apple was when I left uni. This is when I was 21.
Wow, okay.
So I had 3 jobs. I was doing everything I could. So I was renting a room from a friend who was around the corner from the college. I did these 3 jobs to pay me rent, to pay for me fuel and me insurance. I didn't really have any help from my family at that time because we just weren't very, very close. My dad didn't support this decision at all. And I did what I have to do to get by. I did the higher access to higher education. I always get this mixed up. Access to higher education course. Got on the uni course. So I got my place to do my Bachelor of Science music production. Did 2 years in Newcastle. DJ'd all the way through it, running parties, promoting, just doing whatever I could, try and build my name up. And I was like, right, I need to move. I need to go to a different city. So I moved to Leeds, did my final year in Leeds, finished uni, got a first class honours Bachelor of Science degree in music production. So I'd been building my name up DJ-wise. I'd been kind of like learning how to make music, like electronic music. Because at uni, when you do music production, guys, by the way, you don't learn anything about fucking dance music. You learn how the fucking microphone works, and you learn how to wrap wires, and you learn how a speaker works. And honestly, it's great. It's a science degree, right? You're learning the mechanics of a speaker and a microphone, and how a reverb works in a room, and how to create different all these things. They're fantastic. But if you're a DJ and you want to make electronic music, just go on YouTube for a year. It's a fucking waste of money.
Or play around with Ableton or whatever.
Play around with Ableton using YouTube. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, so I left uni. I got a first class honours degree in music production, and I was like, right, great. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a job in a studio because I got a first. If you get a first at uni, you're fucking sorted, right? Yeah. You haven't, right? You haven't got a fucking chance because at the time, it was really, really competitive, and I don't think it matters which level in the music industry you're at. Knowing someone, having that contact list, that little black book helps in anything, right? Especially in the music industry. I did this placement at uni with Abbey Road, right? Abbey Road Studios in London, where the Beatles did their famous walk across the road, right? And I've got relationship with these guys in Abbey Road, and I was like, look, I'll work for free. I'll make cups of tea and coffee. I don't want any money. I just want to be in there. And I was going to move to London. I was going to have to get loans because it's fucking fortune to live in London. And they just said, we can't. And I applied for like 25 jobs. I couldn't get one job. Wow. Even making teas and coffees. Volunteering, right? So I was like, right, now Apple comes into play. So I'd met Eleanor the December before I'd graduated. And she said, if you want to make this work, you've got to come down south, because she lived in Guildford, which is not far from where I live now. Yeah. So I moved out of London, got the job in Apple at Regent Street, working for minimum wage, fucking 50 hours a week, fucking commuting to Oxford Circus every day, depressed, fucking hated it. But I did it because I got down here. I was that close to leaving because I was like, I can't do this, but did it, got through it. 6 months in or 9 months in, I said, I can't do this anymore. I've got to get another job. My friend from Sunderland was a manager of a sales company around the road. So it was in Aldgate East. So it's like, you know, the city in London, if anyone knows. And it was for a company called Make It Cheaper. And they essentially like Uswitch or Money Supermarket, but for businesses only. So it's like telecoms, energy, trying to help you with your bills, right? Trying to get the cost down. So if you combine your bills, we do it cheaper. You know what I mean? Like a bit of a Uswitch, but for businesses. Yeah. So I did that. Cold calling. We were cold calling people and trying to get them to go through to insurance or to telecoms or to energy to get a quote. It was fucking excruciating. I ended up being one of the top salespeople there. Got through to be a business insurance salesman. So I was then the person that you put them through to. So I was getting the leads through. So I was getting these fucking annoyed people that some fucker would call and going, hi, just got your number off a fucking database. You want business insurance? Okay, I'll put you through, bye. And then put them straight through to me. I was like, I'm trying to sell them a fucking 4,000 quid policy. So anyway, I did that for 8 months. And then long story short, I was making music religiously. It took us 4 months to make these 4 tracks because Steve Lawler 4 months ago sent a tweet out saying, Jacky, your tune 19, which is on Keep It Zen Records, mate, if it wasn't for Jamie from Keep It Zen Records, none of this stuff would have happened. He put my record out 19 and Steve Lawler said it was his best track of the year. He put a tweet out saying, it's my favorite track of the year. Let's get you a release on Viva ASAP. Now, this is the time where Viva Warriors was the biggest.
Yeah.
It was huge. So it was just like the perfect timing. Tech House was massive. Viva Warriors was massive. Steve Lawler's asking me for an EP. I spent 4 months getting these 4 tracks together. Sent him these 4 tracks. He signed them within 24 hours. I went in the next day like a fucking movie and went, Mark, I fucking quit. I had no money coming in. I told Eleanor, I said, Eleanor, you're going to need your supporters. I had like 800 quid coming in gigs. I was only like 200 quid a gig. I was fuck all. Yeah. I hadn't had the release out. It wasn't going to come out for 2 more months, but I was like, if I need to do this, I need to do it now. So got signed to Viva. That came out 2 months later. So I sacked that job in, went full-time music, and then kind of the rest is history. So I went on that journey for 6 years. It was a knocking on doors situation for so long, sending music out. Eventually I got signed to certain labels. You know, Elro was the first biggest one. Elro took me under their wing and I was playing Elro all over the world, Barcelona, everywhere. In the UK, playing the London shows. And then Defected came along. Simon Dunmore, you know, saw something in me, which I really appreciate. Big up Simon for that. Changed my life in a lot of ways. Got signed to Defected in 2017. And then I was a resident for them. I had 13 shows in Ibiza the next year. It was crazy. But that, you know, from there to when lockdown happened, which was like, 2020. So that 6 years seems like a blur. And I feel I wouldn't even call it a roller coaster. It was all I was doing, and everyone does who's an artist, who's out there, they'll know. You put the best stuff, and even if you're not an artist, you put the best stuff on social media. You don't put the shit.
Everybody does.
Everyone does, right? I had money stolen from me. I've been to court with managers. I've been ripped off. I've had to, you know, what Roger mentioned on his podcast.
Burning down the forest.
Burning down the forest twice. I never talked about that before, but that journey of self-discovery was painful. There was moments. I'll talk about this now anyway. As time went on, when we were living in London, the party really kind of started to get hold of me. I would say it was like maybe in year 2 of me when I was playing for Defected. And, you know, I was living in a fantastic part of London. We had this amazing flat in Battersea, making really good money, no complaints, but the drugs had just kind of took hold.
Because you had Jacky and Friends, your own party, and you're starting to tour a lot. I remember your Australia tour and your South America tour, and all your gigs were picking up, weren't they?
All of them. I was, you know, I remember when I was with my first manager and I did my first it was like, this is a big deal at the time. I did more than this towards the end, but I did my first 10 grand month. I remember him saying, this is your first 10 grand month. How does it feel? And I was like, yeah, like it felt good, but it wasn't like, it didn't satisfy anything. It wasn't like, at the time, it wasn't about the money, but then as time went on and you kind of live a certain lifestyle, when the gigs, because the gigs aren't always consistent. You might have 12 gigs one month and the next month you might have 3. And you've got a certain level of lifestyle that you've had and you've maybe a bit too much off with the place that you're living in or the holidays that you've booked, right? And it's like working for yourself. You know what it's like. You have peaks and troughs. That first time where my manager said, you've just hit 10 grand in your first 10 grand month. How does it feel? And I was like, yeah, it feels all right. But then it became normal, right? And then it got bigger and bigger and bigger. Then it dropped off. And I never knew that was going to happen because all I was doing at that point was enjoying myself. I remember sending that Defected EP in. I worked really hard at that, right? I was really locked in. And when I got that big peak with Defected, I was like, oh, I'm good. I'm sweet. Like, this is it. We're good, right? And it wasn't that. That isn't how it works. You've got to follow it up.
Yeah. But
I was partying. I remember there was a point where I was at home and it was a Tuesday or something. And I was in the studio, which was the spare room. I was in the studio making music. And there was like, I was just, just in there cracking on. But I'd just be sitting in there just whiffing cat. And I remember going, I don't know why I did this, but I went in the bathroom and I had a bump and then I'd put, like, it was in a cigarette packet and I put it like underneath the toilet or like in where the tissues are, the toilet tissues or whatever. And Eleanor was cleaning and she'd found it. And she came in and she was like, what the fuck is this? And I just remember honestly, it was just a moment of realization. I just remember going, what the fuck am I doing? But I never had that. I'd been doing that for like not religiously, but I'd had moments where I just had stuff in the house and I wouldn't think anything twice about just going in and having a bump. I'm like, until Eleanor came in and I remember it was like this look she had of like, who are you? Because she'd never seen that and she'd never assumed that is something I'd be doing. It was this like inherent disappointment that she had in me. I've never felt ashamed. I've never felt shame like that in my life. And that was probably the lowest point. And do you know what the funny thing is? On the surface, on paper, I was at the peak. I had Jacky and friends in room 2 had defected. I was playing 8 shows in the main room. My first year having an Ibiza residency, which by the way is a DJ. Having an Ibiza residency is the fucking dream.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because I was lost. Deep down, I was lost. I thought I wanted it, and when I got there, same as you. Well, I'll not steal your thunder because I know you're going to say a very similar story, but in a different context. I got to the top, and it wasn't what I thought it was, and it wasn't until the closest people around me, i.e., Eleanor, saw that, and I'd let it down, and it made me realize, fuck, what's actually important here? All this stuff's not important. What's important is it's just not that. I can't even put it into words. It's so hard to describe. But anyway, from that point, just to fast forward, I don't want to waste too much more time. I want you to tell your story. But obviously, cracked on with there's a lot of realization with my drug use at that point. Had to deal with that, ups and downs. And then lockdown happened. And then, the rest is history. We spoke about that on the podcast. I've kind of gone into a different industry altogether. I'm in business. I've got 2 or 3 businesses now on the podcast. I'm trying to be a good husband. I've got a beautiful dog, so I'm a dog dad, and I'm much happier. But different challenges now, I would say. I've still got, like we just spoke about before. I've got challenge. I'm happier. I'm healthier, but I've got different struggles now. I wouldn't say it's easier or harder. I'd just say it's different. you know, as we grow through this crazy thing called life. I feel like we come up against different battles, and they're just different. But
you really love what you do now.
Yeah. Even though it's like last week, it's fucking hard, and I wanted to just throw the fucking towel in.
Yeah.
I love it, and I'll stay up till 2 a.m. to do it, and I'll get up at 4 a.m. I forgot 5 anyway. What am I on about? I'll get up earlier. I'll do 2 hours sleep if I need to, because I'm passionate about it and I care about it, and that's the difference, I think. But yeah, so in a snapshot, that's me. That's my journey, and that's where I've come from and where I am now. So yeah, on to you, mate. What's where do you want to start?
Mate, going over to Riyadh, I forget about all of that. Obviously, because you've told me that before, but obviously this is for everybody else that's listening. And I love Dar al-Islam. Me and Mish love Zanzibar. It's still the same now. You go down the street, honestly, people are smiling, and then you look and think, wow, man, like we whinge about certain things.
But isn't that awareness?
Perspective.
Isn't that so important? Because
massive.
I come back and I've tried to explain this to people.
Yeah.
Not the afters, but just in general, and they're listening to you, but they don't.
No, you've got to see. Listen, what you were describing then back in the day, we used to see that kind of thing on a TV commercial for bloody Oxfam or whatever. Help these children in need and all the rest
exactly.
of it.
Yeah.
You see it on the TV and you're like, oh. But it's gone after that. Next commercials fucking get your Kellogg's cornflakes or your Coca-Cola. But when you're living there, it's different, isn't it?
Completely different.
So yeah, I mean, for me, my journey similar but so different. Again, born and raised in a council area in Bury, where I'm from, which I love where I'm from and my story and my journey. But you know, it was challenging at times. My mum's an amazing person. She's super solid. You know, and she had me at the age of 18, 19. My sister is 2 years younger than me. And we grew up in a one-parent home initially. The original sort of caregiver had alcohol issues. So my mum was there. And then we was very, very fortunate that not too later down the line, the guy who's my father and dad who raised me is not my biological father. So society would say he's a stepfather, but to me he's my dad. Yeah. You know what I mean? You know who he is.
Yeah.
And we was fortunate, you know, that somebody was there for us, and both my mum and dad did an amazing job of bringing, at that time, me and my sister up. My brother came later on. But the first few years were pretty tough. You know, my dad tried to get work and applied for jobs. My dad was British Asian, born in Rochdale. And in the 80s, you know, to put it into context, he applied for a job at a petrol station at BP, and the guy said the job's been filled. And a few days later, my dad went past and the vacancy was still in the window. So he applied again. The guy said, oh, I'm sorry, we did have somebody for the job, but they didn't turn up, so we've put the poster up again. My dad went back again a few days later. Some other excuse. 5 times my dad went, and on the 5th time, the guy in the petrol station said, he said, the job's available, I'm going to give you the job because of your persistence. So that was a time of when I was growing up in the 80s, for somebody who was not of the native skin colour of the UK would have difficulties. So we kind of grew up around this during that period when we was younger. Both our families at times had their differences, and you know, there was a lot of turbulence within the family from that respect. My mum and dad had a lot of pressure and external pressures from both families, and then people in the communities would be like, oh, what's going on, you know, Asian man and a white woman and all the rest of it. So we kind of grew up around that. And in school, people would question us, why is your surname Anwar? And then we'd have to obviously go into detail. But we moved, you know, my dad was very resourceful. He was like, you would call a Del boy back in the day, but nowadays you'd say he's an entrepreneur. So somebody who's able to look at an opportunity, build themselves some form of business. And my dad was, you know, very good at doing local shops. You know, he used to run corner shops and all the rest of it, and taxis and taxi driving. And then he opened his own taxi base, and then he had his own cars. So his business has started to do well, and my mum was always looking after us. And we moved out of the council area where we lived into a brand new house, semi-detached, up in the Walmsley area, Chesham, where we grew up. And from the age of 6 onwards, the age of 9 onwards, I was 1989. So my mum at this point was expecting, my brother was not long going to be due. We went to Florida in 1989, and we went every year after that because there was a lot of money coming in. My dad was splashing out, and my dad was always buying the latest TV or whatever we wanted for Christmas, we always got it. So life became very comfortable then for the external stuff. But, my family's always there. My grandma, she lived next door to us when we lived up in Brandleston, where we grew up. My auntie lived there. My auntie and uncle lived across the street. So I've had a very close knit family, but there was just some relationships in the family that were pretty difficult at times. But yeah, then just went through school. And I was the kid who was always really good. I was good at sports. I was good at English and science. I was pretty good at, because I had an interest in them. But all the other lessons I weren't interested in. So I was always throwing rubbers across the classroom, and my report would come back. Really bright kid, really nice lad, but easily distracted. Distracts everybody else.
Story of my life.
And then I went into high school, and it was the same thing in high school. Yeah. And I seen my dad open different businesses and earn money. And my dad, when I was 13, 14, my dad in the summer holidays would always have me working at the family business. We had a shop in Liverpool. And I always remember my mates were going paintballing in the summer holidays, and they were doing this, they were camping out or whatever. I used to do that when I was younger, but when I got to my teens, my dad said, "You're going to come to the shop and work." And I was like, wow, man. And obviously and I never answered back to my dad. There was only one time I answered back to my dad, and that was a different situation when I was a little bit older. But when I was a kid, anything my dad asked, I would always do. And I never said no. And then one day I was mopping up in the shop, and he looked at me and he said, "What's up with you?" And I was like, "Nothing." And he went, "Yeah, there is. Something's up with you." He said, Why are you quiet? Why are you like that?" And I said, "Well, all my mates there," I said, "they're going out paintballing today. They're doing this, that, and the other." And my dad turned around to me and said, "Listen," he said, "you'll see one day." He said, "You might not understand it right now." He said, "But if you want anything in life, you have to work really hard for it." He said, "So when I was your age, I was working." He said, "So you're going to work now, and you'll see in years to come what you'll learn from this experience. You might not like it now, but you'll understand when you're older." And then obviously I progressed through school, didn't do too great with my grades. I didn't even go and pick them up. I was working at the time. I was working with my dad. We had a grocery, like off-license supermarket. It wasn't a shop. It was a supermarket in Liverpool. Then my dad had a taxi base with loads of taxis. Then he had an MLT station, and then we was doing another business. So it was like 3-4 different businesses that we were running, and that's when I started to learn about, building a business, employing people, being responsible for people, and then investing money and losing money, gaining money. And it was tough, man. We was working at that time, we was working 7 days a week, and I was having 4 hours sleep a night, easy. And I was 18, 19. I met Mish when I was 19. She was 20. Yeah. And she'll tell you, for the first 18 months of us being together, I used to have my dinner outside her house, and then I'd be back working. I'd literally have 4 hours sleep a night. I had dark rings around my eyes, and she was even saying to me at the time, like, you're running yourself into the ground. I'm like, no, it's fine. Loads of money coming in, filling it in the pouch, putting it in the bank. 2 sports cars. I didn't have one, I had 2 at that time when I was a kid. I had an MR2 and a Mitsubishi FTO that my dad had bought, and that I was driving about in. All the nice clothes, Rockports, Tommy Hilfiger,
Rockies,
all the good gear, cruising around with Snoop Dogg on and Will Smith. I had a mixed playlist, and it was a good time. But then I had to go my own way, and so I started, and in my younger years, I worked in a window factory, manufacturing double glazed windows. I've worked packing car wax. I've worked knocking on doors for the accident group. Worked doing all sorts, like what you were saying before. And then the time came, I went into a call centre, and things weren't working out with me and my dad at the time. There was too many pressures from the business, and my mum was kind of saying to me, look, I think you just kind of need to do your own thing. And I did think at the time, I thought, you know what, I need to. And me and my dad had a really good relationship. We're like best friends.
Yeah, I know.
I love my dad to pieces. An amazing man, an amazing man. And it's one of them points in life where the shit had to hit the fan for what was to come. But at the time, you didn't know. And then I walked into O2. I went for a job at O2 UK. And the girl, when she finished the interview, she said, look, I'd love to give you the job because you have what we're looking for. However, O2, at the time, O2 had just been born. It was from BT Cellnet to O2 UK. And she said, but we're under strict guidance that you have to have some form of experience working in a customer-focused environment. And you're working in a factory packing car wax. So I said, okay, fine. I said, if I go and get a job and I come back with the experience, she went, we'll give you the job. So I said, okay, fine. So I walked out, and one of my friends at the time, Clark, he was working at a place called the Accident Group, and I ended up talking about it in some conversation. I don't even know how it came about, and he turned around, he said, look, why don't you come work for me? He said, knocking on doors, doing accident claims. He said, my bonus last month, I got $3,000, and he had a company car and all this. So I was like, well, working with you? He went, yeah, I'll get you on with me. Another one of my mates, Stove, at the time, he was working there. He was like an area manager. So anyway, it all got patched in, and I got the job there. Ended up working there for just short of 6 months, and it was just before Accident Group went under. So I was hitting my targets. I was out knocking on doors all day. It was pissing down rain. You had the raincoat on, and some of the lads were stood on corners smoking weed and not really doing anything. I was just knocking on doors, hitting targets, gaining that experience. And one of the area managers, when I handed my notice in, came to see me, and he was like literally offered me a company car, my own team, my own area, everything. And it was big money. And I just said no. I said, I've been accepted for a job. Bearing in mind at the time, it was the salary at O2 UK at the time was like 16 grand. And I was being offered a 25 grand basic with bonus and a car. And I said no. Because something in me, I just knew, I was like, intuition. I've got to go to the O2 anyway. Yeah. And I walked in there, I was in training. And we looked across, and that's when I met Cammy. And Cammy had
Big up Cam.
Cammy had a similar experience, without going in detail, with his dad. And I had a similar experience with my dad. It was kind of like, this is your last chance to prove yourself in the family that you're actually going to do something with yourself. Yeah. And me and Cammy went in there, and we just, at the time, both of us seen the same kind of thing. We just thought, wow. Because Cammy had worked in a factory doing fiberglass. Do you know what I mean? He worked in the local Chinese restaurant washing dishes. Cammy worked in McDonald's.
Did he?
Yeah, Cammy's... Egg McMuffin. Cammy's Egg McMuffin got videoed and put on a McDonald's advert.
No.
I swear to God. Yeah. But anyway, so that's where we met. So me and Cammy had a similar, like me and you were talking now, similar story, but so different.
Yeah.
And then that's where it started. So yeah, worked through O2 UK. Me and Cammy both at the time, both of us said to everybody in O2 that we want to be managers. And somebody at the time, we can't remember who it was, but it was somebody pretty senior. They just chuckled in a meeting. They went, you won't be managers. And we was like, why? They went, if you was managers, you two, you'd be the youngest managers in the whole of O2 UK, because we were only 21. 6 months later, both of us were managers, and we were running the entire evening managers customer service department. And then within the business, did different roles in there. I worked on the Tesco Mobile project management team, helping Tesco Mobile launch their network, piggybacking off the O2 network. When I applied for the job, I went against somebody who had 20 years experience working at BT, and I got the job based on my character and based on some of the skills that I got. And I was pretty humble. The other guy was pretty arrogant in his approach, so that's why I didn't get the job. So I got a lot of experience, and then went through different businesses. Yell.com, Yellow Pages, then worked at DRL, which is now Appliances Online. Worked with Imran, who was originally my boss at O2 UK. That's Cammy's brother as well. Both very good friends of mine over the years. And then we just seen that there was an opportunity to do something ourselves. We worked selling mobile phones, went from customer service to doing 3 network in Salford Keys for a company.
Yep.
And That's when we just kind of thought we can do this on our own sort of thing. So I went away and did my own thing for a bit. Cammy started doing his own thing, doing mobile phones, and Stu, who you know as well, he was working in Q Contacts at the time, and then was working for Cammy doing mobile phones, and then them guys ended up doing like banking charges, banking claims, and then I ended up leaving Appliances Online, which is where I was working, and ended up working back with Cammy, and then we kind of sat there. And the banking claims was coming to a finish, and Cammy was just saying like, there's this product here that we've been sending off to the bank that's getting a response, and it was financial claims for like missold credit card charges, missold PPI finance, all this kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden that campaign goes live, and we start, and we had no money. There was me, Cammy and Stu. We had enough money to pay the rent on the office for 6 months at the time. We didn't even have money to pay wages or nothing. And some of the guys who'd worked previously in the business that Cammy had done before had said, like, we want to come and work with you guys because, like, we enjoy working for you sort of thing, and we'll work for free. But we managed to have enough money to pay them guys' wages back in the day, and then the business just grew from there. Fortunately, the banks lost the court case because the banks went to the High Court, and everybody thought that the banks were going to win because they always win. But it was when the recession was happening in 2008, 2009. So the British economy actually needed a big influx of money going back out there. Yeah. So I believe at the time it was circumstantial and everything in its right place. When the banks lost the court case, we were like, wow. And we'd put loads of claims in for customers. And when they went through, we got a payout. And then the business just built from there. So that's 12, 13 years then of building a business from 5 people to 50 people to 80 people, 100 people, 120, 150, 250.
How many was it in total?
550 in total.
Wow.
In the end. And that's where I met you.
Yeah.
Through Pi. And then we was doing the company events.
Thanks for that, by the way. I got some fucking good fees. I got some good fees for HYC.
I moved into Manchester. You know, I was lucky enough then. You know, finances became pretty good, and we just love what we did. You know, I do miss them days. And then just going through my own, and that was a very busy period again for my life. So all these jobs and all these stepping stones and all these things that I seen. Always this thing of building something and doing something and being part of something really fulfilled me. But then I was still looking for something. I was still looking for this thing that when I hit that marker point, when I don't have to worry about no mortgage and I own my own property and I've owned my own car and I can go on holiday wherever I want and all these things, tick, 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 ended up doing all them things, which I'm super grateful for. I always will be. But when I got to the main goal of where I wanted to be, which is move out to Ibiza and live in Ibiza, which is where I live now with Mish and our cats and dog, and I got a beautiful life, which I'm super grateful for. But I thought that was going to be the checkmate. Once I get there, this thing that I'm trying to look for will be solved, and it wasn't. That's when the real work began. Yeah. So like I said, where I'm currently at now, working on myself, in recovery with myself, and using over the years. I used to go out partying and clubbing, travelled all around the world. Roger Sanchez is, his favourite DJ. He got us into house music and had some amazing times. But then it started going on where I was, using on my own and using on a daily basis. From 2018 onwards, so this is where it was at. Me and Mish got married in 2018. Jimmy, who's Mish's dad, my father-in-law, was battling cancer at the time and an aneurysm, and he had so many complications. My dad was in and out of hospital with his dialysis and his diabetes. So that was during 2018. We got robbed the night before our wedding as well, which cost us like 15 grand. And then in 2020, COVID hit. Mishy's dad passed away at the end of 2019, sorry. My dad passed away in May 20. So within 6 months, we lost both our dads. COVID had hit. we started to wind the business up because the claims sector that we was involved in had put a deadline in place, but then COVID compounded on top of that as well. So not only did we wind the business up, start to change things there. I'd lost my father-in-law and my dad, and we was during COVID, and I already had this void, this inner turmoil that was going on. So there was a lot of things that were compounding. And we needed to move to Ibiza before Brexit, which was at the end of 2020. So we moved before Brexit kicked in with the cats, and then moved over to Ibiza. So I'd moved country as well. So I'd still not really caught up with myself. So then myself has caught up with me when I'm in Ibiza. So now, in hindsight, looking back, there's always been this need.
Looking back.
Yeah, looking back. There's always been this need inside of me. There's always been this thing that wants to get to Ibiza, and now I'm finding out that what I thought I needed to be in Ibiza for wasn't necessarily what I'm getting. What I'm getting now is so much more. The work that's been going on over the past 3 years has been nothing of external. Everything that external you see of me, where I live, the car I drive, what I do, what I'm wearing now, is because of all the hard work I put in over them years. I was a workaholic. I loved what I did. I loved working with Cam, Stu, all the guys at the office. Massive part of my life that I'll never forget, and I'll always eternally be grateful for, because I learned so much as well. I developed in so many areas, but now I'm developing in an area that nobody will be able to see on the outside, because it's nothing on the outside. This is all inside work. But I'm changing as a person, and people are commenting who are close to me and know me. And people who I've not seen for some time, when I catch up with them now and we talk, they're like, wow, man, it's good to see you, Pete. You sound different. You look different. And it's an onward journey. So, I'm currently working on myself, coaching. I'm doing some academic studies at the moment, which are opening that arena of me understanding a little bit more about myself, and all the coaching and leadership and development I've done in the business world. Now I'm putting into the world that I'm now involved in with recovery and helping other people.
Amazing.
Helping people follow that path, whatever it might be. It's my job's not to have a badge and say, I did this, I did that. It's nothing to do with that. It's taking what I've gone through and sharing that with other people, and if it can help them, then that allows me to continue helping myself. So it's an exchange. So we'll see where we'll go. And then obviously now doing the podcast with you as well is something I was already thinking of going down that avenue with what I've been learning. And a lot of what we talk about on the Bear Chat podcast is exactly what I was going to be kind of talking about, and it's a word that's thrown around, but listen, it's out there. We go to the gym and everyone's like, yeah, go on, go to the gym. You look ripped, you look good. Mental health is the same thing. Yeah. If you're working on yourself, it's exactly the same thing. You got to go to that spiritual gym on a daily basis. You got to share with somebody. You got to speak to somebody. And like I said, Lloyd said it on his episode, didn't ask for help. Mm-hmm. I'd not asked for help ever. And since I've asked for help, it's got me to where I'm at today. So I'm really grateful to be sat on this platform and be involved in this podcast. I'm really grateful our paths crossed during that business period. I'm grateful for the things that I've done and achieved. I don't always say that, but I've started to say that now, because going back to what we were saying earlier, self-esteem and self-belief, I don't shout about it and talk about it, but there's certain things that have been achieved in my life that have gone over and above what I set the bar at. And I'm a big believer of positive mindset. I'm Mr. Positive, and I can go into that zone, but it's okay to be the guy who's not feeling so positive. And I used to run that guy down a little bit in the past. These days I'm here to listen, and I'm here to understand, because my day will come as well. I can be Mr. Positive all I want, but there's certain days will come where no point trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. If you feel like shit, talk to somebody about it and then investigate it. Understand, why is it? What is it? What is it that I need to share about? So it's a new space for me to be in, and I'm enjoying the journey. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. That's my history of where I was born, where I was growing up, and so many good times. But there have been some tough times as well, and I've only recently revisited them because of the work I've been doing on myself, seeing a therapist, being involved in peer-based support groups, taking the time to do a personal inventory on myself on a daily basis, look at my character defects, understand what do I need to work on my triggers, why are my triggers there, what's triggering me, a lot of anger, a lot of suppressed, emotional turbulence that has been down there, and voicing that and getting that out, put pen to paper, writing to myself, and then sharing conversations, people like Chris O'Connell and, WAF Story, all these people's stories that we hear on this platform help in sharing. And like what you've just done with your story and my story here now, brings us to where we're at now, which is why we want to do this podcast. The basis of it is to just get into a conversation that's interesting with interesting people and talk about these things in an open, vulnerable manner. Because we talk about vulnerability a lot on the episode. What is it? Don't be frightened of just sharing your story, because you'll be surprised at how it can help another person. And that's the biggest thing I've learned. I can be a lion. I can be the guy straight up 3 mountains, and I can be a beast. Yeah, I can get on a punch bag and throw some shots. But you don't always have to be that man. You can be the guy who cries a little bit. Yeah. You can be the guy who turns around to someone and says, listen, I need a bit of help, man. That's okay. If I ask any of my friends I need some help, they'll be the first one on the phone. If I said to Cammy, I'm stranded here on this desert island, I don't know how to get off, he'll go, I'm coming now.
Do you know what? When you ask that question, people are buzzing.
100%.
They're humbled at the fact that you can let your guard down.
I was so scared of telling somebody that I needed the help.
He was scared.
Pride.
Pride. We've all got ego. We're not going to get rid of it. It's always going to be there, but you have to manage it.
It's a part of us that develops. You've got the I, the person, the ID. Yeah. Then you have the super ego, and then you have the ego. And these are the things that are protective mechanisms depending on our environment and what went on in the environment. But it's a good thing. But when the ego's unhealthy, it's not a good thing. Yeah. So it's one of them.
Let's wrap this up. That's what people want to hear.
Yeah.
You got something else?
I've got something that I want to read to you, because I've got it on the plane from some of my notes I've been studying on, and because of what's been going on in recent weeks for you, and some of the things that have been going on for me. And it's all good. I've got so much positive stuff going on, but it's okay to let them waves of anxiety come up, because it's peeling back the layers of self-development. There's no growth. There's no comfort in a growth zone, and there's no growth in a comfort zone. We always have to remind ourselves of that. But this is from a guy called Ernest Kurtz, and it's a book that was written in 1992 called The Spirituality of Imperfection. And this is the way that he kind of conceptualized the work that he's done. The core paradox that underlies spirituality is the haunting sense of incompleteness, of being somehow unfinished, that comes from the reality of living on earth as part and yet also not part of it. For to be human is to be incomplete, yet yearn for completion. It is to be uncertain, yet long for certainty. It is to be imperfect, yet long for perfection. To be broken, yet crave wholeness.
Do you know what I hear? Every single line of that?
Yeah.
Paradox.
There you go.
Every single line of that is a paradox.
And that's so it's okay. That's why it's okay. You can be a lion. If you want to be a lion, we all have that side. But you know what? You don't always have to be a lion. You can be a little rabbit every now and then, and it's all good. Don't be embarrassed. That's the way I take it. Ask for help.
Let's leave that there. That's beautiful.
Wicked.
Anything else you want to add?
That's it. We've got the guests coming up now. So season 2, let's roll.
The guests are ridiculous. The guests in season 1 were amazing, but we are stepping it up a level for season 2, and we have got some absolute scorchers. So yeah, thanks everyone for the support again. I know I've probably said that 3 times, but we really mean it.
Nah, big time.
Thank you for the support, and we have an incredible 20 episodes lined up for you for season 2, and we're not gonna let you down.
No, definitely. And hope that our sharing of our stories, because me and Jacky are very good at doing this, that we can just go all over the place, ADHD mode, and just go and talk a lot. I'm pretty sure that them stories will resonate and translate. And I think we got everything out that we needed to get out. But yeah, just from me as well, a massive thank you to everybody that's been messaging, that's been asking for us to do this share. And then that's out there now, and we're going to carry on and build as we grow with the community. We've got a lot of ideas and things coming up, but again, we're juggling our own personal space at the minute with this project, but I'm pretty sure them roads will align. But I'm looking forward to it. But I want to say thanks to you as well, Jacky, for sharing openly today. And
likewise.
Yeah, and for us to be on this journey together, man, we're growing and we're learning so much as we go. So long may that continue.
Absolutely. One more thing I will say: if anyone has resonated with anything today, in particular, anything from my journey or Pete's journey, please reach out. We don't ignore anything in the message requests. If you want to drop us a message, let us know your journey. If you want to offload, vent, please feel free. We're there.
Yeah,
we're all about community. We want to listen. We want to hear what you got to say. So please don't hold back. Get in touch. Let us know how you feel and let us know what you're going through. Yeah, that's what this project's all about. Community.
Onwards we go. Big love.
Big love. Thanks, everyone.